I don't want it in a sense because I think it disrespects Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West, all the guys that prior to me, I never had a chance to play against. What everybody's saying I am, I never had the chance to compete against other legends that was prior to me.
When you talk about Michael Jordan, you're talking about the ultimate basketball icon. 6 championships, 5 MVPs, 10 scoring titles, and countless jaw-dropping moments that rewrote NBA history. Jordan was a cultural phenomenon, dominating the game with unmatched skill and confidence. But even the GOAT wasn't immune from criticism and disrespect. So let's explore 6 players who disrespected Michael Jordan, the stories that fueled their rivalries, and how MJ always found a way to silence the doubters. Nick Anderson, the steal that sparked doubt. His name might not pop into your mind when talking about basketball legends, but his impact on MJ's career was unforgettable. His boldness and one moment of brilliance created a ripple effect that shook the confidence of the greatest player ever and added fuel to an epic revenge story. It all went down in the 1995 Eastern Conference semifinals, where Anderson's Orlando Magic faced off against Jordan's Chicago Bulls. MJ was fresh off his return to the NBA after his baseball hiatus, but not everyone was convinced that he was the same unstoppable force. Late in a crucial game, as Jordan attempted to power pass the defense, it happened. Anderson stripped the ball from MJ, something so rare it felt like time stopped. The ball was scooped up, leading to a key Magic basket that sealed their surprise victory over Chicago. What truly ignited the firestorm wasn't just Anderson's smart defensive play. It was the words that followed. Speaking to reporters post-game, Anderson took a public jab at Jordan, saying, "He didn't look like the old Michael Jordan out there." Those words cut deep. They weren't just trash talk. They represented a challenge to MJ's legacy at a time when people questioned whether he could reclaim his throne. To Anderson, MJ's decision to wear number 45 instead of the iconic 23 felt like a metaphor for Jordan being out of sync with his old dominance. MJ was never one to let such remarks slide. Determined to prove Anderson wrong, he switched back to his legendary number 23 jersey in the very next game. And as expected, his airness lit up the scoreboard, dropping 38 points on Orlando in a stunning statement performance. However, despite MJ's personal brilliance, Anderson and the Magic went on to win the series, marking one of the few times MJ was bested in the playoffs during the peak of his career. But don't let that moment fool you. By the very next year, Jordan reclaimed his MVP title and led the Bulls to an unforgettable 72-win season, capped with his 4th NBA championship. Anderson's steal might have sparked doubt, but it ultimately became just another piece in the legend of MJ's relentless rise to greatness. Clyde Drexler, dismissed by the GOAT, a playmaker with silky smooth athleticism who could carry the load for his Portland Trail Blazers. But some dared to compare Clyde to MJ before the 1992 finals, a decision that Jordan didn't just take personally, but used as fuel to destroy his opponent on basketball's biggest stage. The hype surrounding Drexler as MJ's equal was enough to light a competitive fire in MJ's soul. In the series opener, Jordan made a statement that still echoes through NBA history, the shrug game. With Drexler on the floor, MJ hit 6 three-pointers in the first half, a shocking performance from someone not known for his outside shooting. As the last 3 splashed through the net, Jordan turned to the crowd and shrugged casually like saying, "I don't know how it's happening, but good luck stopping me." Later, he said, "I wasn't the best three-point shooter, but tonight it didn't matter." MJ was relentless throughout the finals, averaging a jaw-dropping 35.8 points, 4.8 rebounds, and capturing the finals MVP while guiding the Bulls to their 2nd consecutive championship in 6 games. Meanwhile, Drexler struggled to keep up. Though Drexler played hard and contributed solid numbers, 24.8 points, 7 rebounds, he never reached the otherworldly level Jordan displayed. For MJ, the comparisons weren't just unfair, they were insulting. When people compared us, it motivated me. I know he's talented, but I wanted to show there was no debate. The 1992 NBA Finals were more than an iconic victory for the Bulls. They were a declaration from Michael Jordan. No one would ever take his throne. Drexler learned it the hard way, as MJ turned the battle of the shooting guards into a one-sided exhibition of greatness. Charles Barkley, friends torn by criticism. Jordan and Charles Barkley were more than competitors. They were great friends, bonding over their love for golf, their extraordinary basketball careers, and their larger-than-life personalities. But even the tightest friendships can be broken, and theirs fell apart under the weight of Barkley's bold comments. It all started when Barkley criticized MJ during a televised interview aiming squarely at MJ's management style as owner of the Charlotte Hornets. "I don't think he has been very successful running the team because he hasn't put good people around him," Barkley stated. The remark was honest, maybe even insightful, but it was a direct leadership, a sore spot for someone famously proud of his legacy. Jordan, known for holding on to grudges tighter than his 6 rings, reportedly severed ties with Barkley, turning their close bond into one of basketball's most infamous fallouts. On the court, their rivalry had been just as fiery. The 1993 NBA Finals was the ultimate battleground for these two superstars, pitting Barkley's Phoenix Suns against Jordan's Chicago Bulls. Barkley was electric, averaging 27.3 points and 13 rebounds per game throughout the series, proving why he'd earned the league MVP that same season. But no matter how hard Sir Charles tried, he couldn't match Jordan's brilliance. MJ was beyond unstoppable, putting up a mind-blowing 41 points per game, a finals record, and securing Chicago's 3rd consecutive championship with killer precision. Reflecting on the loss, Barkley admitted, "I realized one thing. Michael Jordan, as great as I was just better." Still, Barkley's off-court criticism lingered, becoming a wedge between the two legends. Their friendship, once celebrated, couldn't survive Barkley's honesty and Jordan's unforgiving nature. A story that proves even icons aren't immune to personal feuds. Gary Payton, the Glove, tried. Known as the Glove, Payton prided himself on locking down the league's best scorers with suffocating defensive pressure and relentless trash talk. So when his Seattle Supersonics faced MJ's Chicago Bulls in the 1996 NBA Finals, Payton saw an opportunity to make history by stopping the GOAT in his tracks. But it was no easy task. Through the first 3 games of the series, Jordan dominated while Payton wasn't assigned to guard him directly. Seattle quickly fell into a 3-0 series deficit, putting their championship hopes on life support. Then came Payton's big moment. Desperate to stall MJ's reign of terror, Sonics coach George Karl turned to his defensive ace, giving him the green light to challenge MJ head-to-head. Payton embraced the challenge, throwing everything he had at MJ. For the next 3 games, Jordan's scoring dipped to 23 points per game, a noticeable drop from his usual dominance. The Sonics managed to win games 4 and 5, with Payton's defense garnering praise for slowing down basketball's greatest player. Years later, Payton reflected on this stretch with pride, saying, "I made it hard for him. I slowed him down. That was the difference." But as celebrated as Payton's effort was, his boast didn't sit well with MJ. During ESPN's The Last Dance documentary, footage of Payton's comments was shown to MJ, providing the perfect setup for one of the most iconic reactions in sports history.
Hitting him and banging him and hitting him and banging him. It took a toll on Mike. It took a toll, and then
I had no problem with the Glove.
Jordan didn't offer a rebuttal, didn't analyze Game 6, and didn't even try to play it humble. Instead, he laughed uncontrollably before saying, "The Glove." I had no problem with the Glove. Indeed, when the dust settled, it was Jordan who had the last laugh. In Game 6, MJ silenced Seattle and Gary Payton once and for all. Payton's effort remains a noteworthy footnote in NBA history, but against MJ, even the Glove couldn't deliver the knockout punch he hoped for. Reggie Miller, the punch heard around the league. Miller was a competitor who was never afraid to trash talk the greatest player alive. But coming at MJ is dangerous business, and Miller learned just how far MJ's fire could go during one infamous game in 1993. It started with Miller agitating Jordan during an intense regular season matchup. Whether it was the trash talk or physical play, Miller decided to go all in against the GOAT. Things boiled over when Miller taunted MJ after a heated play. Then, in a jaw-dropping moment, Jordan swung at Reggie, causing chaos on the court. Teammates rushed in to separate the two stars, but the tension set the stage for one of basketball's fiercest rivalries. "I knew I'd gotten under his skin," Miller later said, "but there's a price for that." The bad blood resurfaced years later in the 1998 Eastern Conference Finals, when MJ's Bulls faced Miller's Pacers in a grueling 7-game series. Miller's confidence was sky high as he went toe-to-toe with Chicago's dynasty. In one of the game, Miller stole the spotlight with an unforgettable sequence. He shoved Jordan out of the way to hit a clutch game-winning shot. The series was tied 2-2, and Miller boldly told the media, "We were the better team." His confidence didn't waver, but neither did MJ's ruthless drive. When the final game arrived, MJ flipped the switch that made him immortal. He rose to the challenge, dropping 28 points and leading the Bulls past Indiana to another NBA Finals appearance. The Pacers battled hard, but Miller and his squad simply couldn't dethrone Chicago's empire. Isiah Thomas, the longest-running feud. When you talk about rivalries in basketball, few are as bitter and personal as the one between MJ and Isiah Thomas. Their animosity was fueled by personal disdain, playoff drama, and some of the NBA's most intense moments. These two legends fought to dethrone each other, both on the court and off. The roots of their feud trace back to the late 80s when Thomas's bad boys Detroit Pistons were the kings of physical basketball. Detroit famously used the Jordan rules, a brutal defensive strategy designed to stop MJ at all costs. Double teams, hard fouls, and pure intimidation became the Pistons' trademark, turning their playoff clashes into war zones. For 3 straight seasons, Detroit knocked Chicago out of the playoffs, leaving Jordan frustrated and humiliated. But MJ was never one to be denied forever. In 1991, he finally vanquished Detroit with a decisive 4-game sweep in the Eastern Conference Finals, ending the Bad Boys era and igniting even deeper hostility between him and Thomas. Their rivalry took an even darker turn in 1992. Despite Thomas's Hall of Fame status and leadership credentials, he was excluded from the legendary Dream Team, widely regarded as basketball's greatest lineup. The shocking omission wasn't random. Many speculated Jordan played a role in ensuring Thomas wasn't invited. In The Last Dance, MJ bluntly admitted, "I hated Isiah. No matter how much I respected his game, it wasn't personal. He was just a jerk." Isiah fired back, saying, "I met all the criteria to be on that team." Yet no apology or reconciliation has ever happened. Decades later, the feud remains iconic, proving that even in the pursuit of greatness, grudges can endure. Isiah pushed Jordan to his limits, but he also forever marked himself as MJ's most hated rival. Michael Jordan dominated the NBA, but disrespect from bold competitors only fueled his obsession to win. These 6 players dared to challenge the GOAT, and each story proves that MJ didn't just rise to the occasion. He silenced his doubters in unforgettable fashion. All right, that's all for today. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.